Welcome back to another episode of We Shouldn't Be Laughing at This, episode 3. I'm Susan.
I'm Millie.
And I'm Jordan.
And today is being sponsored by water. Drink your damn water. Have you guys been drinking enough water today?
Yes, water is very important for you guys.
It's just, I'm saying, like,
H2O.
he's got the whole water bottle ready. No, but for real though, if you're not drinking your water, drink your damn water. Just do it. It's good for you. It's good for your skin, your hair, your
What
nails,
makes you
your
say
body.
that? Like, was somebody not drinking water? How come you say that? Are you just pumped on water right now?
No, because Millie, how much water have you had today? I'm just curious. She's gonna come up with some bullshit like.
No, I'm trying to figure out how many ounces my Stanley? How many are there? 30 ounces?
30 ounces.
So like,
You haven't finished one yet, have you?
no, I finished one. I'm about to be on 2 actually. So I'm actually proud of myself because before it was really bad. Also, can we talk about how you guys are matching?
I mean, we gotta anchor it, Jordan.
Yeah,
It
hell
just
yeah.
works. We did that last time too. It was just kind of an accident, but
You guys look so good in black.
thanks.
I'm in brown.
You're the little brown one. The little brown one in the center.
The little brown one.
So anyway, yes, drink your water. It's good for you. It's just a good PSA. And water,
And don't do drugs.
that's true.
Imagine if this episode was sponsored by M&M's.
I wish.
It's sponsored by water. So get over
Today
it.
we're sponsored by water.
Get over it right now.
Hell yeah.
So I think one of the things that has come up a lot lately, and I've seen it everywhere, is about tipping. Tipping at fast food places, restaurants, coffee shops, and people are kind of getting annoyed at it. So there was a video I watched. I think it was staged because I've seen multiple videos after the fact, but
Okay.
upon watching it the first time, this guy's really upset. He's dropping off about $60 of stuff, Costco stuff, to somebody's house, and they refuse to tip him. And he's like, "I'm taking everything back unless you guys tip me." And they're like, the woman on the other end of it, she and her husband were recording, and she's just like, "Oh my gosh, are you so poor? Do you need a tip? Is it
Like
better
through
if
the
I give you
doorbell?
$4?" Yeah, no, like her husband supposedly was standing behind her and he's recording as she's being so condescending to like the delivery guy.
Okay.
And the guy, and he's like an older gentleman, and he gets really agitated because she just gets super, super condescending. She's like, "Oh, so it's like $40. If I give you $4, does that make you happy?" And he goes, "I feel like smacking you in your face," which he shouldn't have said. I'm sure he felt that, but he shouldn't have said that.
He should have kept that to himself.
And so it was, I believe it was Instacart. But essentially he obviously went and bought their groceries, put them in his car, delivered them. So he felt like he deserved a tip. And he was like, they asked him, they're like, "How much do you get paid to do this?" And he goes, "It's like $7." Which is kind of crazy. I mean, if you guys have been to Costco, I love Costco. It's my favorite store ever. But if you've been to Costco, you know, like, you're not getting a small amount of items. And for $40, they had like, I think it was like 6 things of like bottled water. But the point is he had to haul it, then take it in. And again, I say all that, and I saw a second video with him in it, so I think that they're staged. But it brought up a good question. When do you guys think it's appropriate to tip, and when is it not?
I would say it's like appropriate to tip when the waiter is like doing something for me, you know, like say like they're bringing me my food, or they're bringing me something like a drink, or like they're asking for refills and whatnot. I think like I'm not gonna just tip if I'm ordering my own food and then I go and get it, you know, like you said, we went to Fuzzy Tacos yesterday, and that's when you were like, I'm not giving him a tip because if I'm getting my own food, you know.
Well, I mean,
Which is
I stood in line. I ordered my own food. I
Exactly.
went and picked up my own food. I took my own tray, emptied it. Nothing was done for me other than them taking the order.
Exactly.
So that's when I was like, I don't tip in those scenarios. I don't tip in drive-throughs.
Does anyone tip in drive-thrus?
I feel like people
tip
do.
in drive-thrus?
Yeah.
That's a thing?
I have I know people who were constantly just feeling guilty because they're like, "I don't know how to say no." I'm like, "You say no. No, absolutely not." The one I will say that gets me every time is Dutch. Because they just like, they come out, they're talking to you, and so when they're like, "Would you like to tip?" And then I'm like, because then you kind of feel like an asshole.
That's why they do that. They do that to make you feel bad, so you have to tip them. Because I don't like that. It's still just a drive-through. Just
It
because
is.
we had a conversation, that means I owe you something now. Like, you just took my order and handed me the thing. If it's anything more than a drive-through, then I'm like, okay, of course I'll tip because you went the extra mile. You made sure my service was good. If the service, even if the service is bad at a restaurant, I'm gonna tip you. It's just might not be as much as I normally would. But I'm gonna leave you something,
Right.
because I know it all helps. Some people are unappreciative of tips, but I know it all helps. So
Yeah, I mean
that's my whole
they
thing about that.
demand or they expect more. To me, I think that the tipping culture has gotten out of control. If you go to other countries, it's insulting to tip them. I mean, you go to Mexico, they're fine, they're used to that, but you go to the European countries, they don't expect it to be tipped. It's insulting to them, and so I think that the issue is corporate greed because all of a sudden, and I can't remember. It must have been Starbucks was the first one that I remember seeing a tip, and I was like, for what? And then all of a sudden it just kind of filtered out from there and it was like the drive-throughs and I was like, no, I'm not tipping you. Like you're not providing me anything other than handing me something. Like
True.
so if I walk into the grocery store and I'm picking my own groceries and I'm like bagging them, who the hell am I going to tip in there and why? Like what did you do to deserve that? And so to me it's corporate greed because they have enough money to pay people well. They just want to keep more in their own pockets. So then they're like, what do? We play on Americans' emotions, right? We play on that feeling of like the guilt of saying no. And initially I was kind of like, and then I'm at the point now where I'm like, no, not today. Or like when you go in and they're like, would you like to round up your purchase for like another $1? And I'm like, no, thank you.
I don't like doing that because you don't know if that money is going to the cause that they actually say it's going to.
Well,
I 100% agree.
And I don't pretend to know everything about it, but I feel like that then ends up being their donation, which means that that's a write-off for them. I'm assuming. Don't shoot me if I'm wrong on that.
That's how it works.
But like, who are they saying? They're not like, oh, Susan contributed $1.50. They're not keeping track of that. They're just like, this is how much we're donating to this organization. It's coming from whatever store. And so then they're the ones who are getting the benefit from that. And I'm like,
because
you know
they
what?
could
No.
say that they're donating 50,000 every year to this cause for like cancer, for example.
Right.
But they're getting more donations than 50,000. They're getting like 100,000. They take donations and they give donations, so no one's looking deep into it, and then it becomes a tax write-off.
Yep.
Yeah, and like speaking of like you're said in other countries, like it's wrong for people to tip. I saw this TikTok where it was talking about China and like Japan and all those places. Like those people, it's a very offensive if you tip like there places like there.
But why? I don't get that part.
That's what I'm wondering.
It's something that we created. If Sammy was here, he'd be able to give us the whole history behind
Probably.
it. It's actually
Yes.
pretty interesting. And he has told me this multiple times. We'll have to bring him on and ask him at some point. But it had something to do with just like a low economic time where it was just kind of like there's really no money anywhere. And so if you have extra and you can, and again, I'm kind of like vaguely remembering what he said to me, but it was not intended to continue on this way. Because here's the thing, like, I think that I've known plenty of waiters and waitresses and bartenders, and just as much as we have our own opinions of the waiters and waitresses that come to us, they have them of the people that are there too. And so I have had really bad service, not when I'm by myself. It's usually when I'm with somebody. But I've gotten really bad service because they look at us and they see the color of your skin, they see how you're dressed, and they're like, they're not going to tip well, so I'm not going to pay attention to them. And there have been a couple of times, like Sammy's a really good tipper. He feels like you're doing this for me, and you guys know Sammy loves cooking. He loves like he's could be like Martha Stewart's child because he loves to do all that stuff and host people. Yeah, and he's good, and he's just like, what do you guys need to eat? And are you okay? And he loves it, genuinely enjoys it. So I think because he's so invested in it that when others do that for him, he's just kind of like, you know what? I want to show them that I appreciate them. But I think that a lot of times they'll look at you and they'll be like, they're not going to tip that well. So I'm not going to give them as good of service. And I have had very, very like, just like disgusting service where what I do typically is I stop it in the middle of it. Like, I'm not going to let you go through my entire dinner giving me shitty service. I'm going to be like, is there a problem? My ex-husband, he's Latino, and every time we would go, he's a huge Raiders fan, boo, by the way. But every time we would go anywhere in Denver and he was wearing Raiders gear, if we were like at a Bronco game and he was in his Raiders gear, people would treat him like absolute shit. And a part of it was because the
he's
Raiders.
a Mexican. Oh.
But the Mexican thing,
because he's a Raiders
no, but
fan.
that's true though. It's true because like everywhere we went, he got the shittiest service. Like people were not nice to him at all.
That's crazy.
I
That's
mean, as a
insane.
black man, do you feel that?
I don't know, not really. I think I'm just like I've gotten lucky with that, and I take the first chance I can to be nice to you. Like I'm nice to you from the moment I walk in the door, so you really don't have a reason to be rude to me. I've never gotten service and been like, okay, this is terrible because they're being racist or some shit. Like 9 times out of 10, if I have bad service, I'm looking around. I'm like, oh shit, everybody is has a upset look on their face, or everybody's order is getting sent back to the kitchen after the waiter brings it out. Something must be wrong with their shit too.
So then maybe it's the perspective that you take it from and not. Which
I
is
think
fair.
that's the thing with me though, is because a lot of the time, as like other people would see something as a racist intention or something that like a prejudgment of some sort, a lot
Right.
of the time I'm able to put it into perspective and be more observant. It's like, oh no, this person's just an asshole. They're an asshole to everybody. They don't care if you're
Yeah.
black or white.
Or they're just
Or
having a bad day.
I just can't name a time. There's been like maybe like I could count on one hand how many times someone has treated me a certain way, and I'm like, oh, it's because I'm black. Like I'll never forget one time I used to do customer service. I used to work at a customer service desk, and this guy comes up, old white dude, like he looks like a Trump supporter, and he comes up and he's like, I want to speak to a manager, and I'm like, I'm a manager. What can I do for you? Because I was a manager at
Yeah.
the time, and he was like, he looked at me, he's like, you don't look like a manager, and I'm like, oh,
You were, to be fair though, you were a pretty young manager too, though.
Yeah.
Like you were young,
kind of,
right?
but at the same time, it's like that's no excuse. Like that,
No, but,
I'm
like,
not
how
the
old were
anomaly.
you?
I think I was 19.
Okay.
Eight.
So 18, 19-year-old Jordan compared to you now is different.
Uh huh.
So I can, and I'm not discounting it, and I'll let you finish your story, but I'm just saying, like,
That's the
That
only
could've been
thing
a
that
part
I
of it.
push back on that too, is because if I'm being nice to you and I tell you I am a manager, just wait till I try to solve
Yeah.
your problem. Don't give me shit. You don't look like a manager. What kind of
Right.
fucking comment is that?
Yeah.
And there's 18-year-old kids running restaurants by themselves. It's like, if you don't know that, you're just being an asshole. That's it. So I asked him, I tell him, I'm like, I am a manager. What can I do for you? And he continues to give me the problem. He's yelling. I'm like, sir, I really need you to lower your voice. There are people staring at us right now. I don't want to make a scene, and I want to be able to help you. So I just need you to lower your voice a little bit. And then he lowers his voice for a second. I try to answer. I did something I can't do for him. Like, I want to return this, and he didn't like have any of the information, and
It's
it was
a
an
receipt.
expensive item. Yeah. So I'm like, I can't do this for you, but here's what I can do for you. Interrupts me, starts yelling at me again. I'm like, sir, you need to leave. If you're gonna keep yelling at me, you can leave now. Have a good one. Cause I'm a kill him with kindness type of person. I'm like, have a good one. I hope you have an amazing day. And then he's like just cussing and shit. And I'm like, you have a great day.
So what were you a manager for?
The store he doesn't
Yeah.
want to mention.
Yeah, just the store,
Yeah.
the same store I work at now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I thought it was like.
Yeah, I just
Wait,
did
you've been working there since you were 19?
just
how
different location.
Oh wait, how old are you now?
I'm about to turn 23 in June.
Old.
23.
Yes, ma'am.
Getting up
Yes, I-
there.
June 4th,
Old.
baby. So if
Um,
y'all want to send me birthday wishes, that'll be sick.
Cash out birthday wishes. Screw the
Cash
wishes.
App.
Give them money. Fuck that.
I'll take that
no,
too.
just kidding. Give them both. But yeah. I mean, I think I've seen it. I've seen it play out pretty badly, and like I genuinely.
There's people getting in fights over this.
Yeah, like I mean, I've been in situations where I've seen it happen to others. I mostly it's been there. I mean, there have been a couple of times where like a waitress is like flirting with whoever I'm at dinner with.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm like, really? One of my exes, he was annoyed. He was 6'3", just like big dude, and
Mhm.
some people would be like, "Oh, you guys are such a good-looking couple," and she came up to the table and she's just like, "Oh my goodness, how are you today?" And he's just like, "Oh, we're good." He's like, "Can we get whatever?" He like ordered She comes back, brings him his drink, brings me nothing. And he just kind of like looks at
So
me.
she's being rude to
Yeah,
you.
he just kind of looks at me and he was like, that's weird. And then he calls her over and he goes, can we get her a drink? And she was like, oh, yeah, they're just making it. And we basically had like almost the exact same thing. It's like 3 things to mix in the freaking drink.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, she's doing this on purpose. And he goes, yeah. He goes, I don't think I like it. And then she comes back over and then she's just like, so what can I get you, handsome? And he goes, he looks at her and he goes, first of all, he goes, when you come to the table, he goes, you address my girl first, not me. He goes, clearly we're together. And even if we're not, that's so disrespectful. He goes, I want to let you know right now, I'm not going to tip you. So you better get me a different waiter or waitress because I'm not putting up with this. And I was like,
oh my God.
and he called her out on that. He was pissed. And he goes, you know, he's like, it's one thing if you're with a bunch of guys and they're trying to be flirty, because I mean, girls know they're going to get better tips if you know they're flirting with the guys. But even then, I think sometimes guys get to the point now where they think it's funny. Like Sammy and his friends, again, Sammy has a really funny story about this, about how some waitress walked over and was calling them all babe, and the guys were like, what the hell? Like they kind of had a negative reaction to her. But like, so I've had that happen to me, but never on a racially driven thing. I've had it happen to like I said, my ex-husband. I had it happen to, you know, guys that I've dated in the past because they're black or whatever. And I'm just like, what is the issue? And you could so plain as day see it. And I'm like, this is racially driven because you're being nice to me. You're being a dick to him. People don't know what I am half the time. How you don't know I'm Latina, I don't know. But even in Mexico, my own people didn't recognize me. Like, it was a joke when it was like, what do you think she is? And they'd be like, white. And I'm like, or Italian.
That's
I'm like,
crazy.
I'm not white. I'm not Italian.
That's crazy.
But, yeah, I'm surprised you haven't encountered it more. I took them on a field trip, with several field trips when, they were juniors and seniors. And it was a big group of kids. And, you know, Fountain's very diverse. I mean,
Yes,
you're
it
not
is.
going to walk into a classroom and see, you know, 90% this race or that race. Like, it's literally like, here's a black kid, here's a Pacific Islander, here's a Mexican, here's a
Chinese
Filipino,
kid.
here's a Chinese kid, literally. And so everybody is mixed. It's amazing. I mean, I think it was the most diverse school district in all of Colorado, which I loved. That was my favorite thing about it.
My old school district before I got to District 8 was not like that at all.
was it all white people?
No,
No, it was like half and half. And it depended on, it wasn't the classes, but like if you're playing football, if you're on the football team, it's mostly black kids and Mexican kids on the football team. If you're on a basketball team, it's like 2 white kids on that team.
Yeah.
And this school was not like that.
And no, it's so diverse, and so
it's beautiful.
and
to see.
and yeah, I mean, it's a lot of military kids, so families do well financially, and so I took them all. We went to a Rockies game and we went to a Nuggets game. The Rockies game, I was like, we can walk downtown and go get something to eat really quickly before we go in because it's cheaper. Walking downtown with. How many of you guys was there? 20?
There was a lot.
It was a lot.
25.
Yeah, it was a
so
lot.
fun, though.
And so we're walking and somebody was like, oh, grab stuff to drink, like at a 7-Eleven or like a convenience
I
store.
remember this.
And
it was
so,
a Walgreens, I think.
It was a Walgreens. So we all walk in and I'm just kind of like watching them as they filter in, like making sure that no one's getting lost and whatever. And I walk in and again, we have our Asian kids, our white kids, and they're all walking in. My boys, who are black boys, walk in. Black kids, that sounds weird. They're black. They walk in, and the security guard immediately like this. What are you guys doing? What's going on? Didn't say anything to anybody else except for them. Turn around, they're like, Gammas. And I was like, why are you picking on them? What do they do? So then I got into it with him. Because I was like, what exactly did they do? They're being loud. All the kids who just walked in are being just as louder. These boys just walked in. Yeah, they're taller and they have maybe a different presence because they're a little bit like more out there, but they're not doing anything. They just walked in. And so I was annoyed at that because I was like, seriously, you're going to pick on them out of like everybody. And I walked in, had no way of knowing that all of those kids were with me. And I was like, you better be a little more careful, like moving forward, because that's just racist. He's like, I'm not being racist. They're just, and I was like, they're doing nothing wrong. Like, they're going to come in here and buy stuff and we're leaving. And we ended up taking pictures with the security camera, which is kind of funny because like everyone's in that frame. But
Yeah.
it was so apparent. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, are you kidding me? The only other time that I have had negative interactions was in Louisiana. I've told you guys this before.
Oh my God, Louisiana's a
Like,
crazy place
they-
to be.
Yeah, I mean, I love the culture. I love the people. I think it's cool. It's crazy. It's
Mhm.
crazy down there. But as soon as I got there, I was with my ex, and so one of the first things
Oh,
that
okay, I
they were
remember.
saying to me was, I mean, immediately, oh, you skinny white bitch, you think you're better than us taking the good black man. I mean, had I known then what I know now, I'd been like, take him, you can have him. But like, they did not like me because they thought I was white. And he told me, he goes, they're going to give you a hard time. And I was like, no, I've been down here before. My family lives down here. Like, I've been down here before. I've never had an
Mhm.
issue. And he goes, they're going to give you shit. They're going to give you a hard time. So I'd bought a pair of pants at Ross because we were traveling and like had left some of our luggage in Houston. So it was this whole like long drawn out thing. So I went to go buy a pair of pants. And so like, you guys know jeans, like unless you try them on, you don't know how they're going to fit you.
Mhm.
So I was like, they were a little bit big. I was like, let me go exchange them. And he goes, they're not going to let you do it. And I was like, why? And he goes, they're not going to let you do it. And I was like, all right, whatever. I was like, whatever. It's not a big deal. I'll go in. Go in. The lady, I had the receipt. I had the tags. I had the pants.
Mhm.
She goes, you didn't buy these yesterday. And I was like, yes, I did. And she goes, no, you didn't. And she goes, I'll be back. The line was wrapped around like all the clothing racks. She went to the back, looked up the security footage from the day before to make sure I bought the pants. And then still came back and was like, no. And I was like, what do you mean no? I just need to exchange them for a different size. And she goes, what's wrong with them? Are they too big on you? And I was like, and like he
Mm.
eventually comes over and he's just like, what's the issue? Because he was watching like from a distance because he goes, they're gonna give you shit. And then like just constantly like we'd be walking somewhere, you white bitch, you, and I was like, what is
That's
the deal
crazy.
with that? And I mean, at one point, like he looks up and he's like, F you bitch. And I was like, who are you talking to? And he goes, that lady just walked past you and called you a skinny white bitch. And I was like, well, they're calling me skinny. Like, I'm kind of happy about that. But I'm not white. Like, I'm not white. And my hair's a lot blonder. Like, my hair was, you guys know, for a whole year, it was darker than Millie's. Like, I had it back to like my natural hair color. So I've seen it on that end. But I've also seen it with like the people that I'm with or the people that I'm dating. And like, it just drives me insane. It's crazy.
Mhm.
It's crazy. So I'm surprised you haven't had, maybe, like I said, maybe it's your perspective is a little bit
I think
different.
that's exactly what it is. Because even when we used to go to like nice hotels in high school for
Mhm.
field trips, like the Broadmoor, which is, if you don't know what the Broadmoor is, it's a very upscale hotel. It's like the Ritz Carlton or some shit. Like that's the caliber of this hotel. And even then, like we would be in the gift shop and in the restaurants in there, and I never had an issue. My mom used to joke with me about it. She was like, somebody's gonna say something, blah blah blah. It was nothing. It was cool.
I mean, but maybe it's because they knew what was going on and like the competition. So they had maybe a different attitude.
And even like just going back there in like plain clothes, like just for, you know how you go after prom
Yeah.
or you have lunch there with somebody
Right.
sometimes. That's just never happened. I feel like I have gotten lucky in the energy that I put out 9 times out of 10. I get that same energy back.
Well, okay, but let's be fair. Sammy has, and again, I'm biased because he's my kid, but that kid has the best energy out of anyone I know
Mhm.
in this
And he's
world.
had that same experience. before.
Sammy, they are assholes to him. And I have said to him, these people are lucky I've never been around when somebody says something to you because I would lose my absolute fucking shit. Like
Mhm.
he's had, and he's worked in retail and he does sales, but he's had people walk up to him and be like, what's up, Pedro? I don't want to work with you. Go
That's
get somebody else. And I'm
crazy.
like, and I looked at him and I was like, are you serious? And what did you say? And he goes, I just walked back and I was like, all right. They're lucky he is. The crazy thing about him
Because
is
he's so
that
patient.
he's so calm. He's so sweet. He's so level-headed. I've seen him angry and I've seen him fight. It's not good.
Mhm.
It is not good. Like, for as sweet as he is, the one time that this kid got in a fight because he thought I was going to be attacked, I was terrified. And I like fighting. Like that, everyone knows
we
that.
know
Like,
you like
I enjoy
fighting.
that. But watching him do that, because he was just like, it's a different Sammy. Everyone knows, like, again, the name Sammy is so sweet.
But there's a switch that he can turn on at will.
And one of those switches, like, for as much as like my mom's switch for my kid and my kids hits and my family, like if you're a part of like who I am and my family and my friends, like I will go hard for you. If someone's doing something stupid, I will go hard. But Sammy, that switch was hit, but people have been mean to him, like just because he has that, again, that naturally curly hair. Sometimes he looks Mexican, sometimes he looks Middle Eastern, sometimes we don't know. He's looked Cuban a couple times. I'm like, what's going on with you? He has all these different little things where he changes, but he gives the kindest energy. He's the nicest person. He's the best tipper, and he still has gotten people giving him shit.
That's fucked up, man.
So, I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I've seen these experiences actually happen. Not with me, but like other people around me. Because I used to be a server at IHOP, guys.
just slinging those pancakes.
Unfortunately. But I love the people I work with. I used to work with. Anyways, one of my favorite, she's like a good friend of mine now. But so she is a white, but
she's a white.
No, but she's white.
Wait,
no, I meant to say she's white, guys. Not she's white. You know what I meant.
She said she is a white.
No, I said she's white.
By the way, we're not racist, guys.
But she speaks like very fluent Spanish. And so basically, so I guess she was telling me this one time because like I already had quit and everything. So she was telling me what happened. So I guess she was trying to help this customer out. And like she was like speaking Spanish to them because like they didn't speak any English. She was speaking Spanish to them. And then like this table like overheard her, and this woman started going off, and she started going off. I don't know who she called over. I'm trying to remember the bits and pieces of the story, but basically like this lady like overhears them, and she's like, I don't want to eat here. She was like, it's full of fucking Mexicans. She was like, this hurt. Like, she started going off because
like, who do you think is making your food in the back?
Exactly.
Like,
and she started going. She was like, if this is how it's gonna be, like, cause it's like literally they were she just like this woman was not minding her business. Clearly, if she was overhearing the conversation, but she just started going off. She was like, I don't want to eat here. If this is what it's gonna be like, yada yada yada, and like she was just making a whole scene. But it's like that's crazy to me that there's people out there like you're not minding your business. Like you're not gonna eat somewhere because there's like a specific race you don't like. Like that's shocking to me.
The sad thing is that it's been like that for years, obviously. So like both my parents are from Mexico. So I was like Spanish speaking first. Like that was my first language. And as a child, I remember being embarrassed because Latinos are loud as hell. Like they're loud. They just like to talk loudly. I know I get that. Sometimes like I get really loud, but my mom and a really close family friend, we'd be out places and they would get loud and they would just be speaking loudly, not screaming or anything. And my mom had a pretty heavy accent. I loved it. I think accents are cool. I
think accents are cool too.
Yeah, like one of my best friends, she's a Puerto Rican. I love her freaking accent. Love it. I think it's cool. But as soon as people would hear my mom's accent, they would give her shit. They would give her a hard time. And I was like, first of all, this little tiny 5'2" lady, like, why are you messing with her? And so there were several times we were at restaurants or places and I would like lose my shit. I'd be like, so you're going to disrespect my mom? Why? And then they try to be nice to me and I'm like, no, we're not doing that. So like growing up with Mexican parents, I got to see that. I got to see the hate and I got to see my dad was almost 6 foot tall. That's crazy tall for a Mexican. That's where Sammy gets his build from. Because Sammy's built like my dad, like literally to a T. But my dad was he was big, he's big shoulders. He was just a yoked dude. And like people didn't mess with him because he was big. But I bet you if he was like a regular little 5'7" Mexican, they would give him more shit. But my dad like also was very, which is funny now that I'm saying it, might be where Sammy got his calm from, because my dad was the kind of person that he'd be like, yeah, say what you want to say. And then you turn around and he'd be like, flip you off, or he'd do something to, I don't believe in revenge. I think that's for God, but my dad had a different mindset. But he was very much like Sammy in that sense, where he was just very calm. Sammy lets things go. My dad didn't. But it was crazy. It was like do you remember when I told you guys that memory that popped up for me about my dad?
With the police?
Yeah.
That was insane. You should talk about that. That's actually crazy.
There are like, memories that just like trigger. And we were watching Griselda. Did you guys watch that?
No, I haven't finished it, but
You
it's
gotta
so
watch it, Jordan.
good.
What's
Oh my
Griselda?
god.
She's the drug lord. Like basically
Oh,
Pablo
with,
Escobar.
Sofia
Vergara.
Vergara.
Yes,
Yeah.
I cannot wait to finish that
shit.
show.
You
I
gotta
know it's
watch
so
it.
good.
It's really good. Like as soon as it came out, I binge watched it. I made Sammy watch it with me. So we're watching that. And then there's a police cruiser in it. And so they show like the little metal grate. And I go, oh, I know what that, I've seen the inside of a police cruiser like that. And then Sammy looks at me and he goes, what are you talking about? And I was like, when I was little, like they put me, my mom, my dad, and my sister in the back of a cop car like that. And then Sammy goes, what? He goes, what do you mean? And then all of a sudden the entire memory just flooded back. And I was like, yeah, I remember because I leaned forward and I touched the metal grate. And I was like, oh, this is crazy. I was like, and I was scared because I could, as a little kid, I'm looking at like the gun and the all whatever they had in there. And what had happened is that we were at a store and they accused my dad of stealing batteries. He didn't have anything on him, but they also were like, here's a Mexican man. And again, I was so little, so I don't know the full details. This is like coming from a perspective of like a 5-year-old, 6-year-old. But I remember they took my dad and they took him into like the manager's office, and my mom was like around the corner. So I grabbed my sister and I go around and I go get my mom. And I was like, they took dad into the office. And so my mom goes up there and they're like, he stole something, this and that, blah, blah, blah. Again, batteries. That's what I remember that it was. So instead of like letting us go and just being like, okay, you stole like whatever, this and that, they called the cops. And my dad was a factory worker. He worked at a pickle plant. So every time I smell pickles, it reminds me of my dad. So he was probably one of the hardest workers I've ever known in my entire life. Like he would cash out his vacation. He wouldn't use his vacation time. He would cash it out so we would have more money as a family. We grew up poor. We just didn't know it. We had everything we needed. We traveled, like we were in Mexico for months at a time. Like we did things that most families can't, but my mom was really good with money. But anyway, my dad was working in the factory, and all the pickle jars, you guys know, they're pretty heavy. They're pretty solid because the pickles and the juice and everything get pretty heavy. They're coming down the belt and something got stuck. And so they're on my dad's ass because he was like the line leader, or I don't know what it was. And so he goes and he's like pushing the jars, and somebody flips the switch on one of the machines and his hand gets caught and it gets crushed in between two pickle jars. And it splits open his hand from like end to end. Like, I mean, just like it's, you know, when you cut chicken open and it butterflies itself up, that's what happened to my dad's hand. And so he had to have, I don't know, it was like 30 something stitches from end to end. And so I remember like we were up there because he had physical therapy, which I'm unfortunately really, really well versed at. But I remember being afraid because they cuffed my dad, and my mom was like, please be careful with his hand because like he had surgery, like it's split open. And she goes, please don't do it too tight. And I remember very vividly looking at the cuffs, and the officer goes, oh, you mean like this? And he squeezed it even tighter on my dad's hand.
Oh my God.
And I was like, just feeling like as a man, like my dad's probably the most manliest man I've ever known in my entire life. Like I've never felt more safe with anybody than I did with my dad. And I just remember looking at him and being like, how is he not crying? How is he not showing? And my dad did not react. And so then it was my dad, my mom, or it was my dad, me, my sister, and my mom. And they had us in the back. And I remember like reaching down to like touch his hand, and it was on fire, like hot. So you can imagine, like, I mean, we've all had a cut or like surgery where, you know, like you put pressure on it, like it's throbbing. And I could feel that. And I was like, I grabbed my sister's hand and I was like, touch his hand. And she was just like, we just kind of like looked at each other. And I looked at my mom, and my mom was like, I don't know what to do. Again, both my parents were from Mexico. Like they ended up getting papers, and like they got the citizenship, they got their GEDs. Like they did everything the way they were supposed to, essentially. But still they were Mexican. And so they took us to the police station and they separated us from my mom and my dad. And my mom was like, don't let go of your sister. So here I am, 5, 6 years old. Like I'm responsible for this little shit. Like I have to make sure she's okay. And they take my dad back. They take my mom. I don't remember in kid time. It felt like hours. And I remember there was a police officer, and I'm sure he was trying to be nice to us. And he's like, do you guys want something to drink? And I just was like, no. He's like, do you guys want something to eat? And I was like, no. My sister's little fat ass, because she was the fat one. Like she was like, oh, I do. And he goes, okay, come with me. And I was like, don't go. And she was like, but it's okay. It's okay. So they convince her, they take her back. I'm like dying inside. I'm like, I'm not going to see my sister again. My parents are gone. Like, this isn't going to, it's not going to go well. And then my sister comes back with her like Pepsi and whatever honey bun and crap they gave her. And she's like, go get one. And I was like, no, I don't want one. I was like, sit down. Like, you can't leave. You can't, like, I was told you're not supposed to leave. Eventually the officer ends up like getting us to trust him enough that he's like making us laugh. He's like doing like little magic tricks or whatever. So my mom comes out pissed because we're laughing with the officer. She's like, I told you you're not supposed to talk to them. You're not supposed to laugh. Eventually they released my dad. I just remember it was like really, really, really like late into the night, like early morning, probably like 2-3 in the morning. We drove home in complete silence. And so like that memory was sparked from that show. And I was like, what a gross situation. So I called my sister and I was like, do you remember this happening? She goes, no. And she goes, oh my gosh, I do remember it. She was like, that's crazy. She goes, but do you know what I remember about that too? She goes, is that it didn't faze him. It didn't stop him from living his life. He was just like, you know what? Unfortunately, this is what happened. We got to move on. Because we're pretty tenacious. My sister and I, we don't like to take no for an answer. We work hard. We keep going forward, even though sometimes like the world around us is shattering. But she goes, think about the lesson we learned that day. You know, we watched that. It was scary, but they didn't put anything on us as kids. It was such a racially driven thing that like looking back on it when I was messaging you guys about it and you guys were like, that's crazy. That's so sad. And it did make me sad. Like I did cry because I was like it made me sad thinking about him. And my sister said the same thing too. She goes, I cried. I did cry. And I was like, I didn't want to bring that to you, but isn't like, that's a kind of a crazy memory. So I think sometimes when I'm like, oh no, like no one's done this or no one's done that, it's happened. I think I've just kind of put it in the back of my mind. I just don't think about it, which I'm sure is true for a lot of people, right? And things that they go through and they experience. But yeah, that one was a crazy one.
That's actually really insane.
Mm-hmm.
It was a crazy memory. But if you guys haven't watched, you gotta watch that, Griselda.
I'm telling you, okay, no,
us.
Griselda. I'm on like episode 2 already, but it is so good. Jordan.
And she's a real person, right?
Oh yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
she's a real drug dealer, right?
Well, was.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. 'Cause
was.
I remember now
forgot.
because her family was saying. Did you see what this? I think it's her son or
Yes.
her
Oh my,
brother.
that made me so
I
mad.
can't remember, but
Her son.
That was her son.
So it's the youngest one.
Yeah, he was saying how that how could they portray her like this? Like she was such a beautiful woman.
No, that
and
woman was so
they
fucking
portrayed her
ugly.
so
No.
ugly.
Absolutely not.
And then people are putting pictures of Sophia and the real what's her name again? Griselda.
Griselda.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the fuck?
I
Like,
will say this though. I think everybody knows Sophia. She's a very beautiful woman. That role was made for her. And
Really?
even though they tried to like make her look more like Griselda, I'm not going to say ugly her down, but like even though they tried to make her look more like her, that role was for her.
Mhm.
Like I've always enjoyed her.
but she's
always
mostly
been
a
kind of like
comedic. Yeah.
yeah, she's always been kind of like she's not like this top actress that you're just kind of
Wait,
like,
I don't
oh,
think
okay.
Wasn't she a Modern
No.
Family?
Yes.
She was a Modern Family, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but
Oh.
even before then, she's been like the hot Latina in like a lot of the movies. So to see her in this more serious role, I was so impressed with her. I was like, all right, like but again, I guess in the whole idea behind it was to try to make her look like her, so they put like prosthetics and stuff on her. I'm like, she's still beautiful. Like you can't hide that. Like that's kind of, it's crazy that even in that they did that. But yeah, her son years ago, they had a reality TV show and it was like the Cartel Kids or something like that, and he was big on that. So a lot of his anger, I believe, comes from the fact that they didn't end up with any of the money, and she had stupid amounts of money.
Really?
Wait, they didn't end up with anything?
No.
That's insane.
Well, it all got confiscated. I mean,
Damn.
where is that money gonna
So that's why he
be?
started doing reality
And so
TV
he
and
did
shit.
reality. And I mean, you know, most people know the whole storyline, but he doesn't really have family. And so he's been kind of clinging on to this little like celebrity, the fact that his mother was, I mean, if they were like Pablo Escobar scared of your mom, I mean, like, damn, my mom's a badass, but at the same time, like, shit, that's kind of scary. Because that means your mom is a badass.
Yeah.
And that means that she probably doesn't have very much loyalty to anybody. If you are that high as a female in that time,
You got to be even more
you
ruthless.
have to be ruthless to the point where you are like psycho. That is not normal. The things that she did, you got to watch it. I'm just
It's
saying, 'cause
actually really good.
It is so good, and it was. I think they timed it perfectly, so it didn't go on too long. I ended up saving the last episode for when I had more time to just because I didn't want to finish the whole thing at once. And I was like, I want to finish, and I was
I
like,
do that with every show. I feel like I'll start watching it, and then the last episode will come around. I'm like, ew, I don't want it to end because it's hard. Like I have so many shows that I haven't finished. Like I still haven't finished Power Book 2.
I haven't finished Power either.
What is that?
It's so good
It
though.
is good. Eric got me hooked on that.
Wait, what is it about?
Power. How do you describe what Power is about?
So, I mean, essentially the name. It's this club owner. He came up from a rough neighborhood, and he is making a name for himself, and he's making good money, but he's not doing it in the most legitimate way. So he's doing it in outwardly legitimate way, but everything is hidden behind that wall.
Like it's
of,
funded
like,
by
accuracy.
drug money,
Yeah.
and he's killed people.
And the people that he has around him, and like his best friends, and then like, there's a whole.
That
because
sounds interesting.
his name is, what is it, James St. Patrick?
Uh-huh.
So there's James St. Patrick, and then there's his like street name,
By the
Ghost.
way, he is so hot. You gotta see this because he is hot.
I've never seen it. But have you guys watched Snowfall? I heard Snowfall's a good
Snowfall's
one too.
good.
I haven't seen Snowfall either, but my mom watched it. She fucking
Yeah, I
loved
heard
it.
Snowfall
She said it was
really
boring
good.
at first, but then she started watching it, and it was good as fuck.
It picks up. It does start to pick up, but I mean, it has a. That one also Eric got me on. I think Jaden too. The boys were watching it, and they're like, "You got to watch it." And then I started watching it, and then, I watched it with. Who did I watch it with? Whoever I watched it with at one point was like, "This is pretty accurate for like Black families and how they like interact inside." And so Snowfall was pretty good. Power I really liked.
Power is so good. I
Yeah.
just don't want to finish it like and catch up
I
because
heard though that some of the later books aren't that good.
I disagree. I've seen a little bit of all of them, and they're all good as fuck.
I think I got to book 2, and then somebody ruined it and told me what happened to Ghost, and I was like, "What is wrong with
That's
you?"
so fucked up.
I know. I was like, I've literally been waiting for this, and like, I love Ghost, like, loved Ghost. I liked Tommy too, though.
Have you ever seen that movie he's in? That Tyler Perry movies he's in? Fuck, I forgot what it's called, but it's him and Janet Jackson. And Janet Jackson, I might put the clip in here. It's so funny to me. Janet Jackson's asking him. She's like,
Are you gay?
How you gonna ask me a question like that?
How do you marry a woman and then turn around and let a man bend you over?
Ain't nobody bending me over.
Oh, so you doing the bending? Is that what it is?
and I
Wait, why is that?
Wait, is
funny?
that
think
the
that
one
shit
where
is
like
funny.
they lost a baby, like they lost their baby or
I
something
think
like
so.
that? I know which one. That was him.
Yes,
Okay, well I like him better as Ghost.
that shit is hilarious.
I like him better as Ghost.
That clip of that movie is so fucking funny.
That's what made me want to watch it because Eric was always putting me on to like the best shows. Eric would be like, "Here, you got to watch this," and he'd sit there all like quiet with his thing. And I'm like, "What are you watching?" He's like, "You got to watch this." And I got hooked on Ghost when I saw, or I got hooked on Power when I saw Ghost. I was like, "All right, now I'm gonna watch it."
You seen The Wire?
Uh-uh.
Really?
Uh-uh.
The Wire is so fucking good. That one I've watched from beginning to end more than once.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen that. If somebody told me to watch, and I think this is a movie, Saltburn.
Oh my gosh!
I've
Don't
never seen
give it
that one.
away.
Movie is
So I was told, one of my best friends was like, she goes, "You need to watch it." She goes, "But your attention span is pretty bad." She goes, "You're not gonna like the first like 20 minutes of it. It goes really slow." She goes, "But pay attention. You're gonna like it." I got 10 minutes in and I was like, I can't do this. I'm kind of done.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just kind of like over it. But everyone said that was really good. But I like some of the ones that are a little bit like shorter, if that makes sense. Like I don't, unless it's something like the one that I did watch almost fully was oh my gosh, what's that family in Chicago with Fiona and Lip and
Oh,
Shameless.
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 I love
Shameless
that
is good.
show. I love that show
But
so much.
I will say this. I used to put Shameless on because I was like, you know what? This show makes me feel good about my life.
Because their life is fucked up.
Their
and
life is
shameless.
chaotic.
Yes, so I was like, I kind of like this, like, and then it would get to the point where I'm like, oh my god, it's so much drama, like I can't. But I mean, people's lives are like that in real life. I mean, It's crazy. And so yeah, no, that was one that I think I got. I might have not finished it actually, because I think Fiona left at some point.
Yeah, she
Fiona
left
did
towards the
leave.
end.
And then after that, I don't think I watched it.
Yeah, I didn't
again.
watch season 10.
And I don't
'cause
think they
season
fuck with
10
her in real life.
Wait, because I think season 10 is without her. Because I didn't really watch season 10, honestly.
Yeah,
after
because she was such a big part of that show, and I was
Mhm.
like,
She was the
why
main
was
character,
they
wasn't
take
she?
She's the
her-
one
get
that
her out?
carried
Yeah.
everything.
Well, because I mean, she was like the mother figure to all of them, and she
Mhm.
was like that strong person that was between her and Lip. I think they were the ones. who were
Speaking
the
of
strong ones.
Lip, there's this new show. I don't know if you guys seen it. It's called The Bear. I love that show.
I
It
don't
has
know what that is.
so
a
the
lot of people say
character.
that show's good.
I don't know his real name. It's called like Jeremy something. I don't know his last name, but the actual character,
Mhm.
like the actor, he has his own show called The Bear, and it's about he's like the top chef, and so when his brother passes away, he's taking care of like now he's like taking over his brother's business, like his sandwich business, and like it's just like so much stuff starts to unravel, and he finds out new secrets that
If you guys can hear that, that's just Taco coming
that's
down the
Taco,
stairs.
because I just lost my train of thought hearing him come
Hi,
down
Taco.
the stairs.
Hi, buddy. Come here.
You want to say
come
hi to the people?
Come here.
You want to say hi to the people,
You don't have a
Taquito?
water, huh?
He does not want to come say hi. Holy shit.
Okay.
He's
Oh
just
my-
backed the hell away from you. Come here.
He said, "Nah, I
Oh,
don't fuck with
shithead.
y'all."
Anyway, keep going.
But yeah, anyway, so like this bear, the show, like secrets start to unfold about like what his brother has hid within the restaurant, and like it's just so chaotic. It's like also it's also him dealing with like mental issues with his brother passing, and like it's such a good show, and I love how they all work together to make the restaurant become an actual thing. Like I just love that show. It's also hands down one of my favorite shows ever.
So, I guess speaking of kind of like the way the shows are, I think one of the things that always stands out to me, and I think we had this conversation the other day where we talked about how you are different with different people that you're around. And so I think that I told you guys, I was like, you know, there's that saying that says, tell me who you are around and I'll tell you who you are. Like, you are the sum of the people that are around you. And I've seen it a lot with people where I'm just kind of questioning their behavior. And they do say, they're like, if you want to know who you're with, look at who they're around. Look at who they hold close to them. What do you guys think about that?
I agree. I feel like when you hang out with certain people, because I've honestly experienced it. You guys know who I used to hang out with back in high school. Bad people. But
Damn.
I feel like, no, they know. But like, I feel like hanging out with them and hanging out with like, they just had attracted so much bad energy that I kind of got sucked in, you know, and I started becoming like, I started doing things I normally wouldn't have done. So I feel like hanging out with the people that are really necessarily good for you, it can start depending on how you act, you know? But like hanging out with good people, like now I just hang out with you know, her and like Jalen, and like I don't know, I just feel like there's so much good energy and like my life is so much peaceful now, and like I don't know, it really depends on who you're with. But
I definitely agree with that. I feel like when I would, before I came to District 8, like even early on in middle school, I could see myself start hanging out with a group of people that were going down a crazy path. Like we used to go, I don't think I've ever told you this before, but we used to go, we would skip like the last class of the day sometimes, or we would skip like football practice every once in a while, and we would go like walk around the stores and
At
shit.
your old school?
Before I came to District 8, we would go walk around in stores and shit. We would just go like be ignorant around fucking Colorado Springs. Like I seen one of my friends, he took something, like he was pickpocketing something from like 7-Eleven or
Yeah.
something. Because when you go in there, at least I think the one by where we went to middle school was like this. When you go in there with backpacks on, they make you drop them at
Take
the
'em
door.
off, yeah.
So drop them at the door. Boom. We're all looking at candy and shit to go back to like a basketball game or something. And he just puts one in his pocket. He's like, I'm just going to take it. And I'm like, okay. I'm just like laughing, like just being a kid. But really, I'm so fucking uncomfortable. Like, is he really going to take that? They're going to catch
Are you really doing that?
Yeah, because we shouldn't be out here. My mom would be pissed if she knew I was with y'all. And then you have the contrast. When I got to this district, or the District 8 that you used to teach at, I was in extracurricular activities. My grades were getting better because I had stuff to be involved in. Like even in high school, there was certain clubs and activities that I wanted to go to, but they didn't let you do it unless you had good grades. So I'm
Yeah.
like, shit, okay, I guess I'll do my fucking homework. And then I'm like looking back on it, I'm like, I probably wouldn't have graduated if I stayed in the district I was in. I know a lot of people that are in jail now or
Yeah.
fucking just fucked up. They don't have a
Yeah.
good job. It's like I got a good job. I have all the experience of all the things that I did in high school that I wouldn't have did if I stayed in the district I was
Right.
in.
Yeah, I
That's the
agree.
biggest example
And
of that.
probably even some of like like DECA stuff, because there was so many of your friends that were in there
Mhm.
that it
So
was like an encouraging thing to be a part of.
it was an encouraging thing to be a part of, and the friends that I hung out with, we wanted to do well in DECA. There was some people that took that
They
class.
didn't
It's a
care.
business class.
Yeah.
There were certain people that took that class that didn't give a fuck. They just wanted to be with certain people in the class. So I'm
Right.
like, I want to go to DECA competition. That's
Yeah.
where we stayed at the hotel at the nice hotel at the Broadmoor. I went every single year of high school because I worked my ass off and I went to DECA competition.
To be able to qualify for it.
And my friends did too. Like we were all there was only like half of us that stayed with DECA all 4 years. I think out of the classes that we took, Leanna and I were the only two that had the same class for 4 years.
Yeah.
Which is so cool. I love that experience.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that's actually good for you. And like, I know it's bad when even my mom starts calling me out on the way I act because of the people who I hung out with. My
Oh, your
mom
mom
used to
don't
do that
play.
shit all the time, and that's how I know it was the people I was with were bad for me. Because like even my mom would call me out on all the dumb shit I did, and like my grades were slacking. We would always skip class. Like it was so bad. But like now, I say when you truly like find those people, like those good people in your life,
The battery died.
oh,
That's okay. Just finish your thought while I go get a new battery.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we still recording?
Yes, finish your thought.
Oh, okay. So, and like, I just feel like now when you truly find those good people you surround yourself with, like, you just realize how much your life changes for the better. Like I said, a few minutes ago, like, all I hang out is with you and with Jalen. Like, I can already see so many
And
good
Taco.
changes. Oh, and Taco. And Sammy.
And Sammy.
I can already see so many good changes in my life. Like, it's because I'm surrounded by good people with good energy, you know? And, like, you've already taught me, like, so many things, especially with being my teacher, too. Like, and, like me and Jalen, we've already been through so much together. Like, I don't know, just, like, being with like, the good people around you just helps you mentally and physically, like, in so many ways.
I think sometimes it's hard. I remember my mom used to say to me, like, oh, and she would say it in Spanish, tell me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are. And I knew my friends were shitheads. We knew we were shitheads. We knew we were doing stuff that we shouldn't have been doing. And I remember just getting really annoyed at her. I was like, why do you think you're better than everyone? But I mean, truthfully, she wasn't wrong. And, as I've looked around at sometimes like the people that surround me, which is why sometimes like I end up spending time alone. Like people would be like, why were you, obviously the girls go to the gym with me now all the time. But I mean, for years I went by myself and I was like, the people that are around me, that's not a priority to them. And it is to me. And I'm going to keep doing what I'm going to do, even if that means that I'm alone.
So you're not letting other people drag you down.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
they want to sit out the house and eat McDonald's all day.
Yeah, or like, and I have never pushed my lifestyle on anybody else. So like it's not like I was like, Millie, you got to get your ass in the gym. I mean, it was like they were watching what I was doing and then it was like,
Yeah, like, can we
I
come
go
too?
with you? Yeah, and
I
then
think shit like that is cool.
yeah, and I like for me I was like, yeah, cuz I'm a teacher by nature. I've been the teacher mindset since I was a kid. Like my dad built us a clubhouse. Again, poor little Mexicans, but we had a clubhouse. And he put in shelves and he was super, super handy. And I used to go, you guys probably don't know the story of the Pied Piper of Hamelin. I was, like I told you guys before, I was like Matilda. I was a reader. I still love to read. My bed has got books on it. I've got books in my chairs. I've got books everywhere. So sometimes I'll just be sitting around and I'll pull out a book and I start reading. I used to do that as a kid all the time. And so my dad was like, let me build this clubhouse, get, these kids out of my hair. So it was his shed with all his tools and stuff, and then the little clubhouse next to it. And the book, The Pied Piper of Hamelin, is a story of this piper that goes in and he helps to get rid of the lemurs. I think it was lemurs in the village because they were like eating up like the food. They're kind of like big rats is what they are. So he plays this flute. He gets rid of all the lemurs. They go and jump off the cliff and everyone's like, yeah, like you're so amazing. And he's like, okay, well, where's my payment? And they're like, we're not paying you. And he goes, oh, okay. So then he plays his little flute and he gets all the kids to follow him and he steals all the kids from the village. And he takes them to like some hidden like place, which is kind of creepy if you think about it.
That's why they call
okay?
R. Kelly the Pied Piper, because he
Yeah.
was doing that
Yes.
shit.
Yes. No,
God.
literally. And so that's where that story comes from. I always thought that story was crazy, but I would read that book over and over and over again because in my mind I was like, why don't they just give him the money? Just pay him. Like, why are you being so selfish? And obviously that's the lesson in that story. So do you guys remember the recorders they would give you in third grade? The three blind mice, blind mice, and everyone had to learn how to play. So I had that, and I was like, I'm gonna be the Pied Piper of Lana. And so I would go, because that's where I grew up. I would go with my little recorder, and I would stand out on the street. And when my friends, the kids in the neighborhood, would hear that, it was time for school, and this was in the summer. And then I would have them all follow me to my clubhouse. I would set them up on a little log, and then like at the end of the school year, teachers threw a bunch of shit away. I know this sounds
This is
crazy.
weird.
Listen, teachers threw a bunch of shit away. So like their workbooks and like teacher supplies. I had so many teacher supplies in that clubhouse because we would go dumpster diving. So I'd be like, here's my teacher book, here's the answers. And then I would take them on field trips and I would make them bring back signed permission slips that they can go. And I remember one girl was like, your math is not good. You don't know how to add. You need to get help at home. You need to let your mom know that you need a tutor. I charge $1 per session.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I was like, I charge $1 per session. And she was like, oh, okay. And then her mom's like, do you really want me to pay you to tutor her? And I was like, yes. Like, this is extra time I'm putting outside of like my classroom work that I'm doing. And I was 7 years old.
That's so fucking weird.
I was 7 years
Oh
old.
my god.
But you know what the funny thing is? I had a full class. I think my largest group of kids I had was like 11 of them.
Yeah, but you were 7. That's fucking
Yes.
crazy.
And some of those kids were older than me and I was their teacher. Like I was teaching them. And my sister was one of my students and like and so she would be like my teacher's pet and I'd be like, she's going to watch the class while I go inside and go to the bathroom. I'll be back, guys. And we would be outside in the summer. My dad had like this little log and everyone would be sitting on their little log and they'd have like, we found clipboards in the trash. They all had clipboards and did their homework. And so like,
And this all happened in your clubhouse.
yes.
At 7.
At 7 years old.
Yes.
That's fucking insane.
And
man.
like, so like those were like, it was just like such an, so I guess going back to the idea of being a teacher, like it's just in me. Like I love, one of the things I enjoy the most is watching somebody learn something. I love that. And I love seeing progress. Like I love somebody being like, I didn't know how to do this, this, and this, but now I do. Like that brings me so much joy. And that's where I know like my heart is that teacher heart. And I've taught people like how to write, like, there's been several people who are like, I'm not gonna be able to go to college because I don't know how to write a paper properly. And I'm like, that's easy. It's organization. Bullshit the rest of it. We show them how to do that. But yeah, no, I think that's I don't think that's weird.
It's kind of weird, dude.
Oh my god.
I mean, okay.
You played a flute. Okay, it's a little Mexican kid. 'Cause you
7
tell
years
the story
old.
like it's normal.
A little
This
Mexican woman,
that's
a
7
kid
years
named
old,
Susan.
plays a
Yeah,
flute,
named
and
Susan.
everybody fucking comes to the clubhouse, and she's their teacher now. That's insane. That's
And they would
fucking
take
crazy.
turns bringing snacks. So we had like a snack
For
break.
everybody.
Yeah, and then they would have recess, and I would be like, "Your turn is tomorrow. You need to let your mom know." And here's the funny thing: is the parents, they didn't care because they knew where their kids were, and I was actually teaching them shit. Like I would find lessons in the books or like the workbooks, and I'd be like, "You need to do this," and then like I would be like, "No, fix it," and I'd make them correct it, and I'd make them go back and do it again because I'm like, "No, that's really bad. You're gonna fail." And then I had a teacher grade book, and I was giving them grades. I was a full-on legit teacher.
That's
And
fucking,
at 7 years old.
Yeah,
That's
I was pretty proud of
crazy.
myself. I mean, but again, I think it's just it's in my heart. But so yeah, no, I think that it going back to the who you're around says a lot about who you are. I think it's absolutely true. And so I've been in situations where I've been around people and I've lost myself. I need to not touch that. I've lost myself because I'm trying to immerse myself in their world, and all of a sudden it's like, wait a second, you're not you anymore. Like you're still you, but you're a different version of you. Why? And so knowing where that influence is and knowing where to cut that influence off and be like, no, this is me. And if you don't like it and it doesn't align, I'm okay with you walking away. I'm okay with you not being a part of my life, because losing yourself is pretty hard. It's pretty hard. And I think you guys know, like the past year,
That was so
I
scary
was
to
slowly
watch,
but surely just
man.
kind of like losing myself, and I was still trying really hard to put on a front, like I'm okay, it's okay, this is okay, everything's fine. And the further away I get from it, the more I'm like, wow, like that was not me. I was doing things that were out of my character, out of who I was. My path and my relationship with God was not as strong as it had been, and those are all like, those are red flags, right? I mean, when you start to look, you're like,
Major red
damn,
flags.
I'm not eating healthy. I'm not in the gym. Why? Because I'm constantly sick. I'm, drinking more than I ever have before. And that wasn't me. I mean, I think I went almost a whole year and a half without having even a drink because I was like, I don't want it to mess up my training. I don't want it to mess up what I'm doing in the gym. I was eating candy like was going to go out of style. Like just all the good habits I'd built all of a sudden were going away. And so I think it's important to look at the people around you. If they're helping you to maintain and build good habits, stick around. If they're not, and all you're doing is digging deeper into like a hole or a pitfall, you got to walk away. And it's hard. It is hard to be like, wait, but they're my friends. And it's like, that's fine. They can be your acquaintances. But when they're changing you and they're not bringing anything positive to help you grow, you got to move on. You got, and I've heard that from several people where they're like, oh, when I used to hang out with this person, all they did was smoke weed or drink alcohol.
That shit's fucking real.
Yeah.
I remember on the opposite end of that though, I remember when I used to hang out with Nate, my mom fucking loved him
Because Nate's easy to love though. He's a good kid.
and
man.
and he had really good habits.
Yeah.
We used to do things together that were like academic, or we would go hang out at like fucking Red Robin or some shit, as opposed to I could be hanging out with somebody that's fucking wanting to get high all the time and wants to try weird drugs and shit. It's like we were just going out and eating like fucking cheese curds at Red Robin and shit in high school, or we would go take a couple girls to the movies. That's happened before.
Oh my gosh, Jordan.
What?
Do you remember the phone call in the middle of the night?
What phone call in the middle of the night?
You don't remember this?
Oh.
Do we want to talk about that? Because if you don't, we don't have to. Because that was pretty funny.
I'll tell that story. That doesn't involve Nate.
No,
That's
it
kinda
doesn't.
random.
But I think it's because you were like the girls.
Oh yeah. So okay.
I can't wait to hear this one.
Okay. Oh yeah, you've never heard this.
Yes,
huh?
I've never heard the story.
Okay. So I was probably in probably either just graduating high school, like it was that summer that I graduated high school, or I was in my senior year of high school. I think I just graduated actually. So I'm still 18 at this point. And I was talking to she probably remembers this too. Oh my God. So I was talking to this girl, and we decided that we would see each other. She was working at night at the time, so she came and saw me after she got off work. She picked me up, and we went some. Oh, this is so stupid. I can't believe I'm telling this story. We went and parked somewhere, and we were just sitting and talking for a while. You could take sitting and talking how you want to take sitting and talking. I don't give a fuck. But we were sitting and talking for a while, and then a cop car pulls up and flashes its lights, and we were both like, oh my God. I didn't have my glasses on. I didn't have contacts on yet. So I'm like,
probably all steamed up.
I'm trying to find my phone. I'm trying to find my phone and shit. And it probably was. I was like, oh shit, look at the windows. Oh my God. And then roll down the window, turn the car on real quick, roll down the window. Then he's like, hey, just wanted to check on y'all. We saw the car here. It's pretty late. Just want to see what you guys were up to. Blah, blah, blah. And then we're like, yeah, we were just sitting here talking. We were just sitting here talking, having a conversation. We just both been working all day, and we probably got off at 7:00. I'm good at that sort of thing. I was like, yeah, we were both working all night, and we got off at 8. So we just decided to come here and talk for a while. Nothing too crazy. He's like, okay, because I'm being very nice to the guy. I'm doing all the talking. And he's like, well, do your parents know you're out? So that's how you know that I'm still 18 at this point. Because he's like, do your parents know you're out? And we were both like, yeah. And then he was like, well, I just need you to call your parents. And meanwhile, my heart fucking sinks into my stomach, right? And then I'm like, okay, what the fuck am I gonna? I'm not calling my mom. That's just not gonna happen.
He
Sorry.
said that's not happening.
Nope.
Nope.
I would have called fucking Pizza Hut before I called my mom. Fuck you mean? But then I was like, oh shit, because I know you're up at like all hours of the night. So I was like, Cameras is probably up right now. So I changed her name on my phone to Mom real quick, and then I call her and I put her on speakerphone, and I'm showing the cop the phone that it says Mom right there. I think it even said Mama Bear. Like it said something funny on it because it's like, this is my mom. And then I'm like, hey Mom, you remember how you said that I could go out and see, I'm not gonna say her name, but I could go out and see so and so. And then he was like, and then you were like, yeah.
Because the first thing he says,
I said, hey Mom.
Yeah, I look at my phone and I was like, the hell is it? Why is Jordan
And
calling
then, okay,
me?
let me pause for a
So
second.
late.
And now we're to the point where I call you randomly because
Yeah.
I have an idea that I want to talk to you about, or I just
Wait,
want to talk to you.
1 second. Your computer's gonna die.
Oh shoot, that's okay.
Yes.
But yeah, I call you all the time because I'm like, I have an idea that I want to talk to you about, or I just want to go over something with you, that sort of thing. Or I just want to talk to you. Like, I
Yeah.
call you randomly now, but at this point in time, that was not the case. I've
Yeah.
never called you randomly. At the most, I would text you at like every few months. I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, I was just thinking about you. Wanted
Yeah,
to
what
hope-
are you doing?
hope you're
What's
doing
going
good,
on?
blah, blah,
Or like,
blah.
I'm doing this, I'm doing that.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I don't know why I remember thinking it was Valentine's Day.
Oh shit, it probably was.
I think it was.
Okay.
Because I was like, I had just gotten home, and then I look at my phone and I was like, shoot, if Jordan's calling me, that means something's going on. Because it's like what you said, like it wasn't like it was just like a random
wasn't
like
normal.
phone call.
You
Yeah.
knew to answer
And
the
so I
phone.
look at my phone, I'm like, oh fuck, what's going on? And then I'm like, hello. Then you go, hey Mom, and I was like, I know what this is.
See,
I know
and
what
that's
this
exactly
is.
what it was. I was like, "Hey, Mom, I was hanging out with so and so. Like I told you, we were going to. We're parked over here, not too far from the house, and a cop just pulled up on us. He wants to make sure that you know that we're out here." And then you were like, "Yeah, I remember the conversation
Yeah, I
that we
have
had."
to get on the phone with the officer, and the officer's like,
He's like,
hello?
"Ma'am,
Yeah,
is-"
he's like, ma'am. He goes, I just want to let you know they're just out here and it's kind of late. And I was like, yeah, I was like, it's been a long day and they didn't really get to see each other. I was like, so I told him it's fine. I was like, but if you need them to go home, like they will like pack it up and they'll
She
go home
handled
right
this
now.
fucking situation perfectly.
Yeah, I was like,
She
they'll
fucking killed that shit. I keep bumping
I
into
was
Mike.
like,
She
they,
fucking killed that
yeah,
shit.
I was like, they'll just pack it up. And then I was like, I go, are they in trouble? I was like, do I need to go out there? And he goes, no. I was like, okay. I was like, they're really good kids. I was like, it's just, I think it was
It
Valentine's
was
Day.
okay. It was Valentine's Day. I
Because-
forgot about
yeah,
that part.
because I remember being like, it just like they both had to work, and I didn't know anything. I didn't know where the hell you were. I was just like, do you need me? No, it's fine. And then he's like, nothing's going on. And I was like, okay. And I was like, well, can Jordan still hear me? And then he's like, yeah, you're on speakerphone. I was like, Jordan, just make sure she gets home safe and then get yourself home as soon as possible. I was like, and you call me as soon as you're on the way. And he's like, okay, Mom, love you. I was like, love you too, click.
Yeah, I'm like, love you, bye. And then, so
Oh
that
my
just
God.
speaks to the dynamic that we have, that I can trust you with that. And you know me well enough. You know I'm
But
not
you're
doing
not
nothing I'm supposed
stupid.
to.
Exactly. Yeah, because I wouldn't have done that if it was a very like a serious thing. I would have been, but I mean, it was curfew, and it was
It was curfew. It
I
wasn't
was like,
that
whatever
late.
you were doing, Jordan, just get your ass home. And then
Yeah.
you called me back later on. You're like, thank you so much, and I was like, it's fine.
And then
It's fine.
I remember coming home and I'm like, oh my God, that could have been so bad. And meanwhile, the cop was really nice. He was like so fucking cool. I've had pretty good experiences with cops.
officers?
Because I got pulled over one time and the cop was really nice. I couldn't find my insurance
Yeah.
stuff. Because I probably was procrastinating printing the correct one, the new
Yeah.
one. But I had been keeping like every single one
Yeah.
as it was expiring, so you could see the paper trail. When I had one, I had the new one. I was renewing my insurance, and the guy was nice. It's the same neighborhood. They're really, I don't know any experience that anybody else has, but that shit was cool. He could have assumed the worst. He could have been a racist. That shit could have ended so fucking badly, given how things are right now and how they've been for a very long time.
That's true.
But he was cool as fuck. You handled that situation fucking perfectly.
You know why I remember it was Valentine's Day? Because I had my Camaro, and I was
Damn, it was that long
getting
ago.
yeah.
Shit.
I was just about to say
I was
it was
getting
so long ago.
I was getting like pulled over for speeding quite a bit because it was just like I love driving fast, and so there were multiple times that they pulled me over and the officers would be like, "Ma'am, did you know you were going 110?" And I'm like, "No."
He's
I'm
like, the
sorry."
speed limit's 50.
And then yeah, he's like, it's 75 or 65. And I was like, I'm so sorry. Like I'm running late to work, this and that, blah, blah. Okay, let me go. Valentine's Day. I'm yelling at Sammy about something. There was something that I don't know what it was. Not yelling, but I'm just like annoyed with him. You guys have heard me get annoyed with him. Few and far between. And so I'm like, Sammy, blah, 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 this and that. Sammy's like, Mom. And I was like, what? And then he goes, you're getting pulled over. And I was like, okay. Like, whatever. So then the officer pulls me over and goes, you were going really fast. I've pulled you over multiple times. I got to ticket you. And I was like, shit.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't on Valentine's Day. Because when I got pulled over on Valentine's Day, I was by myself. So then this was a week later. I get pulled over again. And it was on Valentine's Day. And I was like, damn it. And I mean, tickets are, you guys know, speeding tickets and all that shit's expensive as hell.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember it was Valentine's Day because he's like, I'm sorry. I have to ticket you. But happy Valentine's Day, and he gives me a chocolate heart, and I threw it out the window because I was like, I don't want your stupid chocolate heart.
The cop gave you a chocolate heart?
Yes.
After giving you a ticket.
Yeah.
After he gave me a damn ticket. But I was just like, no, F that. Like, that's ridiculous. There was one time, Tyler, oh, that boy. So he was in the car with me, and I got pulled over again for speeding.
Damn. How
And
many
I
times
go,
have you been pulled
a
over,
lot.
dude?
A lot.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, and so the officer was like, ma'am, did you know? And I was like coming down the Mesa, and I was going pretty fast. And I was like, Tyler, you have to act like you're special because like I'm going to get another ticket. I cannot.
Oh my God.
I was like,
Oh my God, I
cannot
know this
end up
story
with
so
like
bad.
another ticket.
I don't, but that's crazy.
And so like Tyler's like, okay. And I mean, if you know Tyler, like our energy's the same. We're like, he tells everyone like he's like, she raised me, like we're the exact same person. And so it's just like you gotta play it up. And so he's like sitting in the passenger seat. The officer's like, ma'am, is there a reason why you're speeding? And he had just gotten really sick. He had something wrong with him. So he had like all these like hives. He was supposed to be at home, but he refused to. So we were out doing the random stuff that we tend to do. And so the officers, and I was like, yeah, I'm sorry. It's like my son, he's having a meltdown. And Tyler's like sitting in the seat. He's like, ah, and like just being himself. And the officer felt bad. And he goes, is he okay? And I go, no, he'll be fine. And Tyler's like, McDonald's. And he's screaming at the top of his lungs.
He's a good actor.
And yeah. And then the officer just kind of like, he goes, ma'am, your tags are expired. And I go, I know, I haven't had a chance to put them on. I go, can you put them on for me, please? And he goes, sure. Here, just hand them to me. And Tyler looks at me, he goes, bitch, you just got him to go put your tags on for you. He pulled you over for speeding and your tags are expired. He goes, and I'm sitting in here acting like I'm special, but I got away with it. Thankfully that time, because that I would have been screwed. That would have been 3 tickets in like 3 weeks. So I do remember it was Valentine's Day because I was looking at the ticket when I got home, and that's when you called. Because I was like, this officer.
That's crazy.
That's actually really funny.
What's the fastest you've gone driving that Camaro? Do you remember?
155 headed out to Mount Princeton, and it scared the hell out of me. Yeah.
Why were you going so fast?
Because I wanted to push it. And there's this stretch of road, if you guys have ever been out to Buena Vista, where it is, you could see for like miles, and all you see is the mountains, and it's a beautiful drive up there. But I know that road because I go up there quite a bit. I haven't been up there in a while, but I knew, really, truthfully, the one thing that scared me, I was like, if there's an animal that runs out or something, you're going so fast, like to overcorrect or like anything, like I'm like, that's a flipped car. But it was fun. And then like once I got my speed back down to like 110, I felt safe. But it was intense. And that car was so fast, like you couldn't feel the speed in it. Like all of a sudden I'd be like, oh shit, I'm going 115. And Sammy would be like, Mom. Sammy hated the car when I first got it. Hated it.
I bet he did.
Hated it. He goes, because Sammy, like he's not flashy. So he hated that everywhere we went, there was attention. Everywhere. And people would be like, I love your car. Oh my God. Is that your husband's? Is that your boyfriend's? And I was like, no, it's my car. Or they'd be like, did you get it chipped yet? Did you do this? Did you mod it? And I was like, no. One guy was like, let me chip it for you. Let's chip it. And I was like, but yeah, no, that was
What does chip it mean? What does that mean?
they just modify it so that you can override certain speed, like things that It's
Just keep
actually
going.
loud. Okay, so you can override certain things in the car.
Mhm.
It's just like when you hear those cars that are driving by and like it's really really loud. They've modified it. They're just being assholes. There's no reason for that. But yeah, that's all that is. It's just
Oh.
modifying your car so that you can have it run the way that you want to. And so, I did have somebody who went in and chipped it and did a bunch of. I didn't ask him to, but
Do you
they were
miss it? Do you wish
Oh my
to own
God,
one
I,
right
like-
now? Are you gonna get one in the future?
Yeah, I definitely.
What are the plans?
Plan to have another Camaro. It's my favorite car. It's always been my favorite car though. But I grew up around my brothers who brought Camaros and Trans Ams around constantly, and so they were always getting like their cars painted. They were getting them worked on. And so I would just go sit in their cars and I loved them. Like the ones with the T-tops, I would pull those off and, stole a couple of cars from my family a couple of times. And
Damn.
yeah,
We should go go-kart riding.
That
We
would be
should.
really fun.
That would be sick.
I would beat you guys.
Okay, just because you
we
did it
should
at Dave and
definitely do that.
Buster's.
No. I like when it comes to like driving those types of, there's a video of me, I'd have to find it. When I was about 13, 14 years old and we're on a go-kart track and I'm just like going around and my friend who was not that, coordinated wrecked into like the big thing of tires that they have to save you. She just goes straight into that. And that was funny.
I go on vacation soon. If y'all are down, I am.
Let's go.
Wait, where are you going?
Oh, not like
Time off.
Yeah, just time off.
Oh, I was about to say.
I just need a break from work. I'm getting fucking burnt out, dude.
Yeah.
Like this shit is getting old.
It's a
That's why
lot.
I'm going back to school.
What are you going to school for?
I want to go to school for video production, video editing of some sort. Because they have, long story short, the place that I work for, they'll pay for school for you. So as long as I finish the degree, I don't have to pay anything.
Which is amazing.
It's amazing.
I love that. That's such a cool incentive.
It's amazing. And it used to be when I first started working there before COVID that wasn't a thing. You had to be working there for a certain amount of time and you had to be a team lead. And that's a part of the reason why I got promoted to team lead. I got a job at the place. I almost said it. I just don't like saying where I work at because I do too much online and there's people that
you
could.
just don't want to put
Yeah,
that
it's
out
just
there,
weird.
Which is fair.
But I first started working there fresh out of high school at 18, and I was a team lead by 19, and I probably quit working there at 20, and now I turned 21 when I had got that job back, when I had got a different job for the same company, and after COVID, they started paying for people's school. And now I'm getting to the point where there's like multiple people in my building retiring. Have the unique experience of a lot of the people that have worked in the building that I'm in now. They've been there since it opened in 1987, 88. In between 1987 and 1989. And God bless them. I love these fucking people. Like, they're really cool people. But at the same time, I don't want to be that. I don't want to work in retail forever. I want to do something more. That's what this is. And going to school will help me with that because it'll give me some more like video editing lessons.
Yeah.
That'll help me bring something to the podcast. And it'll help me get maybe a job in video editing for a brand, or when we eventually start our own brand, I can have that under my belt just as a.
I mean, it's the cool thing about it is it's something you enjoy. It's something that you already know you like.
Which is so ironic because when I first got to your class in video editing, I was surrounded by sixth graders because I was new to the school.
Yeah.
So that's the only class that they could put me in, and I didn't want to take the class normally because it was full of sixth graders, and I didn't want to keep it. I remember you partnered us up random on the first day of school. I'll never forget it. And I was so fucking uncomfortable. I got partnered with this girl. She was the standard sixth grader. You just came out of elementary school. I'm getting ready to go to high school. So I'm like, this is so weird. Ew.
I
And
have the picture of the two of you sitting when I was making you guys do the icebreaker.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I know I have it is because it went in the yearbook. Because I
Oh,
made the
yeah.
yearbook, and then it was in the yearbook, but then it was also on our Trojan News. It was part of the intro.
That's sick. Oh, yeah. Huh.
We'll have to look for that photo. Cause
Yeah, we
it's
could put that
the
in
two
here.
of you sitting in the chairs. So
You're
guys will-
facing each other.
Yeah, you guys will
Mhm.
be able to see what my old classroom looked like that
And-
whole vibe.
If I would have been able, obviously that's how life is, but looking back on it, if I would have been able to have some inkling of this would be something that I love to do, I would have probably taking the opportunity to learn more from you as your actual
Yeah.
student instead of turning it into a teacher's assistant role, which I still learned a lot.
Yeah.
But now I edit my own videos.
Yeah.
I create my own videos. I write my own videos. I help write this. We
Yeah.
create it. We edit it. And going back to school, I think will really help with that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's cool. That's awesome.
yeah,
Mhm.
I'm
I feel
excited.
that
I
for
don't
you.
know. Certain people have different ideas of the whole, like, you don't need to go to college. You don't need your degree. I felt that way for a long time, but now I'm to the point where I just want it. It's something, it's a new goal I'm working towards. I hope to find more organization with it, just balancing work, school, this podcast, and my own content that I'm creating. I hope that everything falls in line. It's going to be hard, but I think it'll be worth it. At least I
Yeah.
hope
Yeah, I
so.
think you'll definitely get it done. You definitely got this,
What do y'all
Jordan.
think about that though? Like, do you need to go to school? Do you think it's unnecessary?
I think that it depends on where you are in life. I like that's not an answer that I can give to somebody. I think that there are certain fields where it's like, you know what? You don't really need a degree in order to let somebody know you can do art. If you can paint, you're a great painter. Like you start building a portfolio. So to me, and even things like art history, like I'm sorry, no offense to anybody who has an art history degree, but that's the biggest waste of money. It is. Because to me, art history is a hobby. It's not a career. And so you have to weigh out the cost, you know, the what is it costing you? Is it, and if it's for free and it's something that you love and you want to do, do it. I had to keep getting certified to teach video production at higher levels as I kept going up, sports broadcasting and audio and video. And so I have 3 master's degrees, and that still wasn't enough. They were like, no, you still need more schooling. So I ended up going to take classes, like I took some classes through Stanford, and then I took some classes at PPCC. So I was just finding different places because to me, like what I learned through Stanford was so different from what I learned at PPCC or CSU Pueblo or CU Boulder. So like all of those places brought me something different.
Here he comes.
Yeah, here comes Taco. But what was I think interesting for me that I didn't think I was going to gain is that, and you'll see this, a lot of the people who are teaching those classes, they're in the industry. They're not teachers.
True.
And so what makes it a little bit more difficult, these are the pros and cons of what I learned. The con is that they don't know how to teach. They're so good at what they do that they almost forget that there's a beginning level to what they're teaching. So like I took an audio class with, he's like the top audio engineer for all the radio stations in
Colorado.
And he edits podcasts. He's really knowledgeable, extremely knowledgeable, very well connected. And we had this class twice a week for like 4 hours a night. It was long. So I would teach all day, and then I would go and I would sit in class. I would be getting home at like 11 o'clock at night. I was just exhausted. And there was one time where he literally like spent the entire class time, the full time we were there, talking to us. And he knew I was a teacher because there were several students in that class that I had taught. And so he's asked me to stay after class, and he goes, "What am I doing wrong?" And I go, "You're not teaching." I was like, "What you're doing is you're lecturing and you're giving good information that makes sense to you, but it doesn't make sense to us." I was like, "It's like you're trying to teach, you know, a kid who doesn't know how to add, how to do algebra." That's what you're doing.
Like those two things
Yeah, I
aren't
was like,
gonna
and
click
you're
out.
you're so good at what you do that you don't realize that you need to take a step back. So he goes, "How can I make this better?" And so I was giving him some ideas and some feedback.
Just to make it more interactive.
Yeah, and I told him, I go, "You need to let us just work with the stuff. You need to let us like jump in and play with the software and do our own stuff." And he goes, "Well, like what would be a good assignment?" And I go, "Well, why don't you have us, because the audio world is insane. It's massive, the amount of stuff you
It's
have to
crazy,
do with
right?
the audio world." Yeah, and to me, my argument to him was like, I'm not musically inclined. I can't even sing. I can't carry a note to save my life. I will still sing. I don't give a crap, but
Samesies.
I can't sing. And I told him, I go, he was just like, "Well, you got to mix, you know, the treble with the drums and the snares, and you got to do this." And I go, "But I don't know how that works. Like, I don't know how that." And he did not know how to take a step back and say, hey guys, this is a foundation. Like this is how you're going to build this audio, by starting with your bass and then adding the layers to that. He didn't know how to tell us that. And I was like, I'm so confused. And I love figuring stuff out on my own. I hate when people lecture to me or read to me like in a classroom. I don't learn that way. I stop listening. I'm just like, blah, 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 blah. Shut up. I'll figure it out on my own. And so what he did was he had us take, it was an episode of, I think it was Futurama. It was Futurama, or it wasn't The Simpsons. It was Futurama, because I remember there were a bunch of snakes. And I told him, I go, it would be fun if you let us take something that already has like professional audio, we strip the audio, and then we add in our own sound effects and our own audio and our own voiceovers, so that then we can see what that process, because I need to stop hitting that. We can see what that process is, because you forget how many different layers there are, or you don't forget, you don't know how many different layers there are. So as you have the background music, then you have the hissing of the snakes, but then you also have the helicopter that's coming up, and that needs to let your audience know that the helicopter's coming in, and then somebody hits a baseball with the bat, and so you have to be ready with that sound, and then do you insert something funny in it? So by the time I was done, I had layers upon layers stacked for small sections of like 2 to 3 seconds of audio, and I was layers deep, and I still have those projects. I have them all saved. That's how I learned. And
by
that's
doing.
and so then everybody in the class was like, this makes sense, this is better. And one of the guys who went to my old church, he would do the audio video stuff for them, and he goes, I'm glad you said something to him. And I was like, well, no, he was seeking feedback. But the downside is that they're not teachers. They're industry. The upside is that they're industry, so you get to meet other industry people.
You get to meet other industry people, and a lot of teachers aren't willing to learn. You know what I mean? Like, which is ironic, but a lot of teachers, they either go strictly by the book,
Right.
and it turns into just one big lecture, like you were just explaining, or on the opposite end, they have made a certain amount of adjustments, and they're not doing anymore. They're
Right.
stopping at that. This is how I teach. That's it. It's like fucking Abbott Elementary. It's the same thing. It's, you got the young teachers in the building that are willing to shake things up and try new stuff, and then you got a couple of the older teachers who have been there for a while, and it's like, you don't do this. This is not how this works.
Yeah.
We've never been able to do this before.
Right.
So it's interesting to see that, and that's a cool experience you had.
I think you'll enjoy it. I enjoyed it because like I loved just like gleaning as much as I could off of anybody. And so he brought in 3 guys, and they filmed a full podcast in front of the class, and it was one that they actually used, and they have a pretty decent following. So I have pictures of that. I actually came across that the other day. And they were talking about like the equipment that you use and this and that. And so that part of it was really cool, because I actually ended up calling on them for some contacts that I needed when I was in the classroom. And I was like, hey, what's the best equipment for this? Or how can I? And they were always so good about helping. So meeting industry people is great, but hopefully you end up with people who can have that teachable, like, let me teach you kind of spirit, not let me just come at it and be like, oh, this, because it's hard to dumb it down once you're that good at it. Like, you have to be like, oh shoot, they don't even know the parts of a microphone or a stand. They don't understand that part of it. They don't understand that there's like multi-directional parts to microphones, and that they don't get any of that.
There's so much with like audio in general, even just learning about this podcast and learning how to edit the audio, because there's little things that I'll put in that may only last for a second, or it's to edit out a certain noise, and then it ends up, like you said, there's like 10, 15 audio layers right on top of each other, because I'm trying to make a certain sound effect, or I'm trying to make it like, even when our podcast opens, a lot of the time I do the edit so the TV is turning on, or when it's turning off, I do it so the TV is going off, because the podcast is over, it's done. And it doesn't come with the sound effects, so I've had to search for sound effects. I didn't like any of them. Now I have to edit it a certain way and put sound effects on it so it sounds the way that I want it to, because I have it in my head as like how it sounds. It's so, and I'm so excited.
And I can as I'm listening to it, or as I'm watching it, I can hear, that sounds so weird, but I hear the layers. Like when we were talking about Millie being sick, and I like talked into the mic and I go, Faker, you added that echo, that
I forgot about it. See, yeah, it's little stuff like that. That shit, it's so fucking cool.
And I hear that because my ear is so trained to that. But I think sometimes people, when they're listening to it, they don't realize that those are the layers that are in there. And so like, I caught that. I was like, oh, that was kind of cool because I heard that. I don't know if you used like a like an echo, deverb, reverb. I don't remember the difference between the two. I just know that like a lot of the names are the same too.
That's the cool thing about the podcast, and that's why once we'll talk about that off the pod, but once we get on a certain schedule and it's always the same day of recording, because that shit takes a while. Like when I was doing the voiceover thing, it took me like probably like 5 minutes to get it right because I had to listen to it a bunch of times. I had to hear it so it echoed the same way that I want it to in my head, and that is noticeable. I didn't want to cut off what you were saying too much because certain parts of the echo was like fake,
Yeah,
fuck.
yeah.
And I'm like, I want it to stick out. The video stuff is so interesting. There's even stuff now that I'm excited to try in editing the podcast. I think that's going to be sick. I think going to school for video production and being able to use this as my homework for that sometime is going to be so fucking cool. I look forward to it.
Yeah, I'm excited for you. I think editing, cause like obviously when I went to Susan's class, like when I started taking her class, I didn't know shit about editing. Like
No
I
one
was,
did.
yeah, like
No.
we were all
No.
lost. But I think I came out with enjoy editing, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and like I feel like I edited some of my things on my computer here and there, but because it's like there's joy in it, you know, and it's fun. It's really
My
fun.
thing with editing that I like about it, this is so like inside baseball, it's weird, but the thing that I like with editing is the fact that you could take something like the last podcast we did. If there's no sounds or no visual, it's just raw footage and audio. It looks totally different than after we're done. Adding pictures in the background, cutting in videos, putting little sound effects on it, putting the music in between, and having to listen to it 5 separate times so I can get the volume right, which is every single time. Looking for the music. I always look for different music. I'm trying to keep it fresh, not stale, to keep our retention up. It's like, oh, it's a new song. I kind of like this. It's so fucking cool.
Well,
and then you see that finished product and you're like, damn, that's fucking...
It's exciting.
It's really exciting.
And
It really is exciting.
So I used to tell everyone, I'm like, I can tell if you bullshitted your way through this video because it takes about an hour's worth of work for every minute of video that you do. And like once you get the video and the transitions and the audio and you get everything aligned for every minute of video, you've got to invest about an hour of time into it in order to make it clean and polished and look good. And even then, the amount of videos that I made over the years where like I would work on them, and all of a sudden I'd get to the end and I'm watching them, I'm like, damn it, I still could have done this. I still could have done that.
Even watching the podcast, I feel the same way. Like going forward, there's still stuff that I want to learn how to do. There's still stuff that I'm like, okay, this is how we could do this better next time. Whether it comes to the video editing or the type of conversations that we're having, it's interesting. I keep bumping into the mic too. Shit.
Yeah, I know. I kept hitting with my hand,
I'm talking with my hands
like
and shit.
slapping it.
But you get to see that process of like, this is how we're gonna get better in the next one. This is like, even the fact that we got a set now, we haven't mentioned that, or in a different set. Like it's little stuff like that I'm like, okay, this looks weird on camera. We need a dedicated space so the colors can look right. Like after I color grade this, it'll look totally different than it does now. It's just so interesting. I think that shit's cool.
I definitely
Seeing the
like
finished
it
product
as well.
I fucking love it. That's why I keep saying, like, I've been telling everybody that'll listen, I'm going back to school. I'm excited.
I'm excited for you, Jordan. It's
That'll
very
be awesome.
exciting.
I'm glad I'm going to school when I am, because if I would have went to school fresh out of high school, I would have went for something that I'm not passionate about anymore. The course of my life would have went the same way. I still would end in 2020 or begin 2024 not passionate about what I thought I was going to go to school for, because I wanted to be a teacher. I was serious about it. I was talking to every teacher that I know in my life. I was talking to the principal of our high school because I know they like hiring people who graduated from that high school. And I'm like, okay, here's my plan, blah, blah, blah. And looking back on it, I'm like, I don't fucking want to be a teacher. I want to, I want to make my own things. I want to, I want to make something from top to bottom, my name's on it, and get to look back on it and be like, I contributed to this.
Yeah, it's
I don't want to
exciting.
just be, I understand for people who enjoy teaching and who that's their life, like even you at that point where teaching was your life.
Yeah.
And there was a certain point when you were a teacher where you couldn't imagine not being a teacher.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was when people would ask me, like, if you could have your dream job, what would it be? And I was like, it's teaching. But it was, like I told you guys with my weird little teacher kid story, like, I've always enjoyed watching people learn and grow. but I also have such a heart for people. And so I think that's the part that, like, I know that because I initially went to school. So when I was a kid, there were 3 things I wanted to be: either a teacher, a lawyer, or a social worker. And all of them, I was planning to work with kids. And I used to tell people, I'm going to be a lawyer and I'm going to defend kids whose parents are mean to them. Like, that was my whole goal in life. So, like, to me, that's a very God-driven goal and purpose. But I used to tell people, I was like, when they would be like, if you could have your dream job, what would it be? And I'm like, it's teaching. But a lot of it was because of the kids. Because it was never a dull moment. And I mean, now, like, look at my life and how blessed it is, where I literally, like, there's not a day that goes by that I don't speak to one of my kids. There's not one single day. Taco looks like he's ready to talk. Taco, do you have anything to say?
Hi, buddy.
Do you have anything to say to the mic?
Oh, he
He's
usually looks
like,
at me when I
Taco's
do
like,
that.
I could care less about teaching other dogs. He just wants to be in the center. Oh,
That's what he gets.
There he goes.
Oh,
I
that's
mean,
funny.
you guys are
Yeah.
some of his favorite.
As you
people,
guys can
but-
see, we are in a new set. Let us know down below what you guys think.
So yeah, I mean, some of the stuff. Well, actually, all this stuff is from my classroom. We're gonna add more stuff.
Wait,
to
before
it.
we wrap
more
up,
stuff.
I think you should tell them how you got this ukulele, because they must be.
Let me tell you
What?
guys. So we went to Dave and Buster's, the one that's up north here in the Springs.
It's
It's new, yeah. And I'm glad that we have it. It just is. It's tiny.
Mhm.
It's so.
Yeah.
It was cool. I'm used to the one in Denver, and
Same.
so Jalen ended up hitting a jackpot on one of the things, and she got like 1,000 tickets. And so I think when we walked up there, we had like 2,800 tickets. And I had a goal the minute that, like, we got up there. I was like, I want a ukulele, and I was gonna get the blue one, and she made me get this one. So I kind of feel like, what's his name from Coco?
I never seen that movie.
Are you serious?
Dead ass.
Miguel?
I never seen
Miguel?
Coco.
Yeah,
I never
was
seen
that
The
his
Little
name?
Mermaid.
I think.
I never seen Lion King. We should all like watch a movie that I haven't seen.
Do you want to hear us? Okay, I'll make this quick because I know we're gonna have to wrap up here soon. So, okay, let me finish this. So, Jalen and I went into the gift shop, and I was like, I need my ukulele. I don't know what else. I'm sure we had plenty of points for other stuff. She ended up getting candy. But
That
yeah,
shit was expensive in there too.
It was, yeah. And so, this is my ukulele that I'm very proud of.
She also got a free bracelet, guys.
got a bracelet.
Yeah,
that I'm
they gave
wearing.
it to her for free.
Yes.
So anyway, when Sammy was younger, there was this thing that I enacted in my household, and it was called Family Member of the Week. And so whoever like did the best on like, because I used to have to trick Sammy into doing things that he needed to do, like
What was it?
chores.
Just the two of you?
No, because his dad and I were
Yeah,
we were
yeah.
together for years, and then like his cousin lived in the house too. So like I raised his cousin from the time he was like 13 until he got like he lived with us for a while. And so anyway, and then his other cousins were I have always had people in my house. I always had kids. So it was Family Member of the Week, and so I used to have to like trick Sammy into doing chores, the ADD thing. So I'd be like, I'm gonna set the timer for 10 minutes. Whatever you clean in 10 minutes, we're done. And then he wouldn't pay attention. He'd get so focused on cleaning, so I would just keep changing the timer. And then eventually, like all
The
of a sudden-
whole house is done.
The whole house is
like
spotless.
an hour goes by, and he'd be like, "We finished that fast." I'm like, we did," because kids with ADD, ADHD don't always have concept of time, and so that was just my way. And so that's how I would get him to do chores without him like stopping and being like, "Oh, look, it's Spider-Man. Oh, look." And so, and there was no fighting. It was chill. And it was me, him, his dad, his cousin, and we would all be cleaning at the same time. We were done. Like, we would knock it out. So, anyway, it was like, did you do your chores? Did you make your bed? Like all the typical things. And so the Family Member of the Week got to choose the movie for Friday night. And so we would do movie, usually pizza, popcorn, all this other good stuff. And it was every Friday night. And so it was like, oh, who did the best? Well, I just happened to win Family Member of the Week almost every single week. And I got to pick the movie. And Sammy's like, at one point he goes, "That's not fair." And I go, "Why?" And he goes, "Because if it's tie, you're the one who's the tiebreaker." And I go, "Well, who else do you want it to be?" I was like, "I'm the mother, so I get to decide." He got so sick of me picking the movie The Little Mermaid, he hid it from me. And I couldn't find it anymore.
Damn.
So the movie of the week could not be Little Mermaid anymore.
Yeah, I've never seen Little Mermaid.
Yeah, I can't believe you haven't watched that.
The
stuff.
only
That's
Little Mermaid I
crazy.
seen was fucking the live action one.
I haven't seen that.
With Haley Bailey. That shit was getting on my damn nerves. Oh my god. This isn't a movie review podcast, but that shit was insane. It was, I don't know if the cartoon is like this or maybe it's less
They
annoying.
sing a lot.
But the singing in that movie drove me bonkers.
You're not
I
gonna
hate
like- You're not gonna
musicals.
like a lot.
I was about to
of
call
the
it
Disney
musicals.
movies.
My mom loved that
Musicals.
movie too.
I
but
hate musicals.
I
Oh
like
my
musicals
god.
though, but
No, musicals piss me the fuck off because I did not. If I wanted to watch a damn musical, I would have signed up for one. I would have went to go
I
to
think
a
it
movie
depends on
an
the
auditorium and
music.
watched one.
Because like The Princess and the Frog, I'll never forget when we watched that movie. It was when I was in elementary school. It was one of those days where we watched a movie for some reason. I think I can't remember why, but the music in that movie was just perfect. Like that music in that movie is good as fuck, and it's nothing but singing. But I could sit there to this day and watch
And
that
watch
movie.
it.
She said to this day.
To this day.
Well, yeah, we're gonna have to watch. We're gonna have to watch those movies because that is insane.
Well, okay. In between this and one of the next ones, we'll watch a movie that I haven't seen,
Okay.
and then we can talk about it.
I
That's
think
that's our
Lion
goal.
King might be one.
Lion
can't,
King?
Yeah, I can't watch that.
Dude, I hate that movie
Lion-
so
okay.
much.
I don't
I
hate it.
don't.
I'll
I
tell
don't
you-
hate it. I don't
makes
like
me
it.
sad.
I'll tell
I just
y'all
don't
every
like
movie,
it.
every Disney movie that's popular that when people hear me say I haven't seen it, they get mad at me. And then I'll wrap this up. I haven't seen Lion King, The Little Mermaid, Mulan,
Mulan is so good.
Beauty
Beauty and the Beast. Probably
and the
not.
Beast. I've never seen that.
That's
Cinderella. I've never seen that. There's a few other Disney movies like even A Bug's Life. I've never seen A Bug's Life.
That's a good one. I love that movie.
Up. I've seen Up.
I love that movie too.
There's a few other ones that I haven't seen. I can't think of.
Speaking
some
of
them.
Up, I know we're about to wrap up, but just to let you know, I won second place in a pumpkin contest because I did the
You
house from there.
did.
We can insert a picture and
It
I will
was
send
cute.
you it. It was really cute.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's cute.
I
It
won
was
second
really well
place.
done. I was impressed. I was like, damn, who really can do that?
That's cool as fuck.
All right, guys.
Well, speaking of Up, we're gonna wrap this.
Time's
up.
up. Time is up.
If you made it to the end of the podcast, thank you so much. We appreciate you for watching.
Thank you for watching if you're a viewer on YouTube, and thank you for listening if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
Yes. Thank you.
And don't forget, today was sponsored by water.
Remember to drink your
Drink
water.
your water. Make sure you're drinking it. But no, in all honesty, we do love you guys and we appreciate you guys. We're gonna do more advertising, putting this out more. I think word's starting to get around. But we're gonna end up with some special people, special guests.
Next
coming in.
episode, forgot to tell you guys that part. We will be with some special guests next episode, so stay tuned for that.
So yeah, I mean, I think we're good. We're golden. Subscribe, like, share, comment. Let us know what you think, what you like, what you don't like. We're gonna keep doing this, and we're gonna be working on getting some shorts put together, some
Yes.
shorter reels of some of the podcasts that have kind of not necessarily failed, but for one reason or another, we didn't put it out there.
Either
so-
that or even some of the ones that we've posted. We'll get some clips out
yeah,
for y'all.
so we'll get some stuff going, but we love you guys.
Thanks thanks for supporting.
Yes, we appreciate you. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.
We out.
Bye.